ਅਲਬਰਟਾ ਸੂਬੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ਼ੀਅਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਭਾਵੇਂ 2023 ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਣੇ ਨੇ, ਪਰ ਉੱਥੋਂ ਦੇ ਰਾਜਨੀਤਿਕ ਹਲਕਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਰਗਰਮੀਆਂ ਤੇਜ਼ ਹੋ ਗਈਆਂ ਨੇ। ਉੱਥੇ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਲੀਡਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਦੀ ਰੇਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਗਤੀਵਿਧੀਆਂ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਤਹਿਤ ਡੈਨੀਅਲ ਸਮਿਥ ਨੇ ਬਾਲੀਵੁੱਡ ਕੁਜ਼ੀਨ ਰੈਸਟੋਰੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਭਾਈਚਾਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਰਾਜਨੀਤਿਕ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਮੁਲਾਕਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਰਾਜਨੀਤਿਕ ਸਫ਼ਰ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਜੇਕਰ ਉਹ ਲੀਡਰ ਬਣਦੇ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਏਜੰਡੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਹੜੇ-ਕਿਹੜੇ ਮੁੱਦੇ ਹੋਣਗੇ। ਇਸ ਮੌਕੇ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਬਾਠ, ਲੱਭਾ ਧਨੋਆ, ਤਲਵਿੰਦਰ ਪਨੇਸਰ, ਸੰਦੀਪ ਹੁੰਦਲ ਅਤੇ ਕੁਝ ਹੋਰ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਚਿੰਤਾਵਾਂ ਡੈਨੀਅਲ ਸਮਿਥ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਂਝੀਆਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ। ਕੁਝ ਸਥਾਨਕ ਮੁੱਦਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਾਣੂ ਕਰਵਾਇਆ। ਇਸ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਅੰਤ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਣਜੀਤ ਬਾਠ ਨੇ ਆਏ ਹੋਏ ਮਹਿਮਾਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕੀਤਾ ਤੇ ਡੈਨੀਅਲ ਸਮਿਥ ਨੂੰ ਜਿੱਤ ਦਾ ਭਰੋਸਾ ਵੀ ਦਿਵਾਇਆ।
ਅੱਜ ਡੈਨੀਅਲ ਸਮਿਥ ਦੀ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ we're here together for Danielle and we're here together to join her in this journey on becoming a premier. So please help me invite her. She's already here, so please give her a round of applause.
Well, thank you so much to Ranjit for putting this together. I first met Ranjit at the Basaki Nagarkatam parade, and he took me off to the side and he said, you know, the next generation is coming up and it's time for us to make the decisions. So I was glad to hear him say that, because one of the things that I noticed as well with the community both in Calgary and in Edmonton is just how much the issues have changed since the last time I was in politics. So last time I was in politics, I'm sad to say that some of the issues are still the same. Last time I was in politics, it was how do we get more people in through temporary foreign workers? How do we make sure that we have foreign credentials recognized so people can practice in the area that they were trained in, and how do we have a pathway for more permanent immigration? This is what Quebec and Manitoba does, and I think those are still issues. But of course we have so many people who have businesses that have been established for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. I think some of the conversations I'm now having are, why are those inspectors so difficult when it comes to my cement trucks? And why can't I get my schools expanded? I've got 5 schools. How come we don't have an equitable funding model for schools? And how do we clear away some of the red tape so that businesses can be approved? And what are we going to do about insurance costs and electricity costs and home heating costs and gasoline and diesel costs? So I'm more than happy to chat with you about the issues that are on your mind, but just know that I'm so delighted just to see how large the community is growing, how successful the businesses have been. The last 2 years have been so hard, and there's so many members from your community who've kept us going in the trucking business and the healthcare business and in all of the frontline services that continue to have to be operated. So I think there's a lot of gratitude that people have as well, that things that we're getting through to the other side of this. I got back into politics again because of the unity issue, that I was seeing that there's a lot of division happening in our conservative movement, and I'm interested in hearing how you see it in Edmonton. But what I was noticing is there's a lot of political parties that were sprouting up all over. I of course led another political party back in 2009 to 2015, and I came to the conclusion earlier than some other people that we needed to bring the movement back together or risk seeing another government form. I didn't know it was going to be the NDP at the time, but I think we now see that if the Conservative movement blows apart again, then it's going to result in an NDP government. And we were seeing that Todd Lowen was going to start his own party and Brian Jean was going to start his own party. Paul Hinman had already left us and gone back to the Wild Rose Independence Party. Drew Barnes wanted to start his own rural party. There's a group called the Buffalo Project that wanted to start their own party. There's also a group called the Alberta Prosperity Project. Those of you from Central Alberta have probably heard of them as well. They were starting their own party. So I think I'm up to 7 different political parties. And if we keep dividing this way, that will happen is that in Calgary and Edmonton, it'll be just enough votes taken away from the UCP that we will surely end up with an NDP government. And I'm not sure how the NDP government fared for you in the 4 years they were there, but I can tell you the number of business owners who I've talked to who said that their business just stopped. Investment just stopped. People were so worried about what the business climate was going to be with higher taxes and more regulation that there wasn't the same level of investment. So I think that's the concern that people have, is will we return to that if the NDP get elected? So that's part of the reason why I've entered into the race again, is that because I've spent time before in alternative parties, I just don't want to see this movement bust apart again. I want to make sure that we have a strong representation here in Calgary, or here in Edmonton. Matt Altheim is my campaign manager. He ran Mike Nichols' campaign, and so he's been helping me on making sure that we've got a strong presence in Edmonton. And Ranjit tells me there's a few seats that we can win back. We certainly want to keep all of our seats in rural Alberta and our ones in Edmonton as well. And so I put forward a policy proposal on a couple of issues that I think will address the reasons why we're splitting apart. I'd be curious to know if the sentiment is as strong in Edmonton as it is in rural Alberta. The idea that Ottawa just keeps on dictating to us in all of our areas of jurisdiction and is standing in the way of us being able to develop our economy. I think that in rural Alberta, everyone's at a breaking point, and they want to see us push back the same way Peter Lougheed did in the 1970s, and the same way that Ralph Klein did in the 1990s, and just say enough is enough. We are a different place. We're an entrepreneurial place. We attract people from around the world. Anyone can succeed here on the basis of their merit. Just get the heck out of our way. Allow us to generate wealth, and we'll be able to take care of our own families and our own communities. And so that is the strong message that I have. It seems to be one that is being quite well received in rural Alberta and in Calgary, and I'm hoping I can make some inroads in Edmonton. It's a little more difficult in Edmonton because there's so many NDP candidates here, but I'd love to get your advice about what you think the UCP needs to do to win here, maybe some of the reasons why we've lost some ground here, and if there's anything that you think I need to know, or you want to ask any questions of me about some of the things that are my priority, I'd be more than happy to have that discussion with you. I hope that Ranjit will run for office and be able to win one of those seats back. I think he's strongly considering it.